Hello and good morning, everyone. Well, sorry, good afternoon. I am reaching you from all the way in Barbados. So let me say good morning because it's morning here, and I know most of you are in the afternoon, evening where you are. So I am going to start again and say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good evening. I am Pamela Eversley, and I will be your host for today. Welcome to the International School for Development Justice, our information webinar for today. I am your customer experience and business development lead here, and I am absolutely thrilled to welcome you to see so many of you joining us from across the globe. While I my welcome, if you could be so kind as to place where we're reaching you from in the chat, so we can properly welcome you before I'm done. Before we dive in, let me introduce the members of my team who are here with you. We have on screen Ms. Sonia Mahan. Sonia Mahan is our Chief Academic Affairs Officer here at the ISDJ. She will share some insights about our curriculum and what learning at ISDJ really looks like. She is incredibly talented and her credentials position her greatly to lead you through this task. She will also walk you through the application process and answer any questions about fees, entry requirements, and any timelines that you may have queries about. Our Chief Information Officer, Dwayne Kildare, he is also online with us. Dwayne, he manages all things for our platform. Any queries or questions that you may have related to that and the helpline, he is the person you'll reach out to. He will be, along with myself, monitoring the chat throughout. So please drop your questions, and we will, as we go through, so that you don't leave without having your question answered. We'll keep on top of that for you. So let's talk about why we're really here today. We're living in a very pivotal moment. Organizations everywhere, from the United Nations to multinational corporations and organizations, local governments, they have made bold commitments to sustainability, climate action, and social justice. But here's the reality. Research from the World Economic Forum shows that 94% of organizations say they lack people with the right skills to actually deliver on those commitments. The funding to do the necessary for their organizations is there. The political will is there. What's missing? The people capital with the right credentials and expertise. That gap, that is your opportunity. The ISDJ was created specifically to close that gap. We are the world's first business school dedicated exclusively to the Sustainable Development Goals. We're backed by the United Nations, supported by an investment from the Inter-American Development Bank, and we're built on the University of the West Indies, 75 years of Caribbean and global academic excellence. So you're in the right place. We're not just any other online business school. We are a movement. And today, you are considering becoming a part of it. So, what can you expect? Over the next 45 to 60 minutes, we'll walk you through our graduate programs in sustainability and development justice, the UWI ISDJ Advantage, and there's a huge one, which sets us apart from all these other institutions in the world, and the practical details, the admissions, the fees, and how to apply. And most importantly, how these programs can transform and impact your career. Please use the chat to drop any questions as we go through. All right. So let's get started. Let's start this session as there's a word that we like to use at ISDJ, change makers. You are a change maker, and we are hopeful that at the end of this session, you will take that decision to apply. There's a special tool that we're going to be sharing with you at the end of the session that you can go ahead and take that first step. It's called a pre-screening tool. You take that step and see where you land in the process, and then see where you have to go. Let me, with no further ado, introduce you and allow Sonia Mahan to take you through this process. Sonia?
Welcome all. Again, warm greetings from us here at the ISDJ, and we're delighted to be talking to you today. It's going to be an interactive session, so please don't wait until the end. If you have questions, drop them in the Q&A or drop them in the, I think we have our Q&A enabled, or if not, just drop them in the chat for us to interact with you. And as Pam says, she's going to be moderating the session and feeding those questions to me as we go through, and somebody on the team will be able to answer you. Just confirming, Pam, and all that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen and yeah, we can continue.
Okay, so we can move from here. So, as Pam said, why the ISDJ? The ISDJ, this is what we're going to be going through today. Why the ISDJ? Our graduate programs, the ones that we have on offer and the ones that we will have on offer for the next round, our application process, and the exclusive webinar bonus that we were speaking about, that pre-screening tool that Pam was speaking about earlier, which we're going to just see you at the end of the session. So, what is the challenge? You've built a successful career, but something is missing, as the slide says here. Limited pathways to sustainability and climate action roles. And the research from the World Economic Forum and Kearney Research shows that 94% of the companies lack the necessary people power to implement their ESG agendas effectively. We are all aware of the issue. We have lived experiences about the impacts of sustainability and climate change in our own remit. If you're in any of the city's locations, if you're in the Caribbean, if you're in the Pacific, if you are near shore, you are recognizing the impacts of climate change, and all of the other issues that have manifested themselves. And we are at the forefront of this. So how do the companies who understand that they need to make a change, they need to develop the processes, procedures, and the measures to ensure that their businesses are sustainable, that the products that they are using are sustainable, and indeed the stakeholders that are involved, both internal stakeholders and their customer base, are going to be there for generations and generations to come. Hence the ISDJ. The ISDJ was formed, as was said, by a partnership. We are UN endorsed. We are part of the University of the West Indies, and with over 75 years of proven expertise, particularly one of our areas of expertise is small island development states, and the credentials are known worldwide and accepted worldwide. This year, I think the last Times Education rankings, we are in the top 3% of universities around the world. So you are, for those who don't know us as well as you will get to know us, we are credentialed and well known globally. And the ISDJ is globally recognized. The Times Higher Education Impact Ranking for ICT partnerships ranked us as 100% for that particular measure. So we are well placed to be part of the solution, but a part of ensuring that you as change makers and that the legacies that we are seeding will be here for generations to come. So what is the solution? We've defined what the problem is. The ISDJ. The ISDJ is the world's first global school postgraduate programming that is solely dedicated to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. All of our programming has that as its base or at its core. So no matter what area of expertise or what particular discipline is being offered, you can be assured that the thread or the lifeblood that runs through all of our courses, all of our programming has this sustainable development, one or more of the sustainable development goals at its core. Our model is asynchronous online. So let me reemphasize that. There are no timetables set. The delivery mode is asynchronous, which means that you are able to set your own schedule within the parameters of each course. And I'll talk about our block model in just a moment. So what that means is that you don't have to, it doesn't matter where in the world you are, you can set your own schedule as you interact and engage with the material in the courses that you're going to meet. And we are globally relevant. as again, as it says here, endorsed by the United Nations, and we are actually funded by a loan through the Inter-American Development Bank. And they are putting their money where their mouths are, understanding the role and the necessity and the importance of ensuring that sustainability and the SDGs are not just lip service, but are really intertwined and embedded into the solutions that we build for ourselves or build for yourselves, no matter where in the world you are. We are also part of the University of the West Indies. We are attached to UWI Global Campus, and the University of the West Indies has demonstrated global leadership. So we are at a distinct advantage by being part of the University of the West Indies. 50,000 plus graduates and counting worldwide. So even though we are the premier university in the Caribbean region, our graduates can be found everywhere in the world. 20 plus years of online learning experience is why we are leveraging our attachment to the UB Global Campus. And as I said earlier, the UWI itself, globally recognized 100% of the Times Higher Education SDG partnership ranking. And we continue to develop strategic partnerships globally as well to reinforce our programming and to bring those partnerships, those networks, those resources to you, our students, once you're in our classrooms, virtual though they may be. And of course, reemphasizing that we are endorsed by the United Nations and backed by the IDB as well. So let's talk a bit about our programs and what makes us different. What is our differentiated competitive value to you? We have all of our options, all of our program suites have three options, and they are stackable options. You have the postgraduate certificate, which can be completed in as little as 5 months. You have the postgraduate diploma, which can be completed in as little as 9 months. And you have the full MSc, which can be completed in as little as 14 months. There are part-time options as well, moving you from 9 months for the postgrad certificate, 14 months for the diploma, and 24 months for the MSc. But let's see what that actually means. So if we focus at the foundation level, the postgraduate certificate, each subject area, each discipline has 4 core courses associated with that discipline. Once you complete those 4 core courses, if you enroll in our postgraduate certificate, you complete those 4 core courses, you have earned your postgraduate certificate in that specialization. And that can, if you decide that you want to test out the waters, you want to ladder your experience with us and not fully commit to the master's program, you can do a preview or you can do a tester, probably a better way of expressing that, a taster of what a program is like without the full commitment of the master's program with our postgraduate certificate. Within 4 months, that means if you begin with us in August, you are completed by December and with full qualification, full credentials with the postgraduate certificate. Having tasted the meal, we will not be surprised if you want to ladder up to our postgraduate diploma or even ladder up from the postgraduate certificate to the full master's program. All the credits that you would have taken in the postgrad certificate will count towards the diploma. In fact, the postgraduate certificate forms the core, and then you layer on or ladder up to the postgrad diploma, and that you will add 1 more core course and 2 electives chosen from the inventory of courses that we have available. And for the master's, just as the postgraduate certificate is the core, layered by the postgrad diploma courses for the postgrad diploma, and then you finish your journey with us at the master's level by adding 2 more core courses and 2 more electives. So we have designed flexible entry points and flexible exit points as well in our programming to ensure that our programming can fit your life, can fit you where you are, and you have the opportunity to navigate through as your situation or circumstances allow. So, Pam, I'm not sure if there is a question in the chat. I will pause here for a moment before I go on to the next slide.
No, we are good to go. I think you're going quite well.
Okay. So we value your experience. And for those who don't have a traditional academic background, the post having a pathway that allows entry to the postcard certificate might be ideal for you. And I'll speak about that when we get to application. I'll speak some more about that when we get to what do you do when you are applying for our programs. So just want to reemphasize our programs are stackable I think this is might have been a better way of demonstrating it. So you have the postgrad certificate at the base, specialized credentials, 4 3-credit core courses. The postgrad, then you can ladder up to the postgrad diploma, which is your professional qualification, 7 courses, 5 core. You had already done 4, so you're adding on 3 more courses, the 1 more core and 2 electives from the suite of courses that are available, and of course the full graduate degree, which is 11 courses. Once you get to the diploma stage, you have already done 7, so you're now doing 4 more courses. 1 core, which is research methods, no surprise, 2 more electives, and once you have completed all of those courses, how you're going to put all of that knowledge to use in a project, which could be a research project, an applied project. It depends on what your program coordinator and you determine is going to be best for your situation and for your experience, or where you actually want to go in your career path. Our programming is delivered in 8-week blocks. So every course is 8 weeks long from beginning to end, and you get to determine how you interact with the material in that 8 weeks. We recommend that every week we are expecting you to spend 10 to 12 hours, a core 10 to 12 hours per week on the material. Some of the courses are developed so that it's a module per week. Some courses have fewer modules. So some courses may have 4 modules, which means you're expected to do that at a pace of 1 module every 2 weeks and so on. But generally, the time commitment, which is going to be very important for you to determine at the onset, is about 10 to 12 hours per week per course. You have the option, you would have seen me say that, or you would see on screen that the fastest route through our programming is at the postgraduate certificate level for 5 months. You start and you're finished within 5 months. That means you'll be taking 2 courses simultaneously. So two of those courses, you take 2 courses simultaneously, you take a short break, and then a further 2, and you're completed with the postgrad certificate. So our 8-week blocks falls within the traditional semester. You'll be doing 1 and a bit semesters worth of work. We begin the journey with a pre-program workshop, which gets everybody on the same playing field, a deep dive into what the ISDGs actually are, how they're interrelated, what the challenges are, and how can we put forward solutions to fix those challenges with the SDGs. So here is the suite of programs that we have available. 5 program areas, which I'm going to go into in more depth today. And that's sustainable development and justice, public health and informatics, sustainability and data analytics, climate and sustainable development, and of course, our sustainable leadership and development option. And if I start first with one of our the first 2 that are very popular, Pam and colleagues, that have
Mm-hmm.
captured the imagination of those who applied. This will be our second round of applications, the Public Health and Informatics program. And the purpose here is transforming our health systems through data. Big data is not just for the retailers. Big data allows us to develop well, I'll get that on the next slide, but to transform how we administer healthcare across all of our communities, including the marginalized communities are underserved in our environment. And that's what public health and informatics is aiming to do. So that our leading objectives or learning objectives for the overall learning objectives for this program is talking about health informatics systems and digital transformation, data analytics for public health policy, modeling and disease surveillance, and health equity and social determinants of health. We can't believe it. COVID was 6 years ago. Yes, it was 6 years ago, and we all lived through the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the silver linings for of the COVID-19 pandemic was it showed us where the leaks were. How are we able to support our health systems in an environment where we could not necessarily physically access everything that we needed to do? And I think the most governments were softened and paid more attention now to the urgency of ensuring that their systems were digitally accessible and that you could use the data that was being collected to ensure that the responses met the need at the time. So collecting the right data to produce the right information to ensure effective and quick decision making based not on gut feel or what we wanted to think was happening, but what was actually happening on ground. And I know in Barbados and in the Caribbean, the responses for the systems that got developed, I don't want to say overnight because I know some of the teams in Barbados that were working almost 24/7 to get those systems, those surveillance systems in place for the decision makers to be able to give updates to the nation. In Barbados, we were getting updates in Barbados every morning. The Prime Minister and her team were giving updates every morning based on live data that was being fed to those systems. So that is the promise of public health and informatics. How do you get your systems um, up to date so that the data can inform the decision making? And the career paths here, WHO,
Mhm.
PAHO, and global health agencies, as well as ministries of health. You heard me mention the Ministry of Health in Barbados, digital health startups, and we are seeing quite a few of those as well, and international NGOs, international or globally impactful NGOs are where the career paths for public health and informatics takes you. If you're
So
already
go ahead.
No, I would say if you're already working in the area and therefore want to retool to ensure that you
Mhm.
are ahead of the wave, that you are going to remain relevant and be able to provide the competencies and skills that I don't even want to say that are in the future, that are in the now, that are in demand
Mhm.
now, then starting with the postgrad certificate and then
Mhm.
laddering up might be the way to go. Yes, Pam?
I was making the point that for this particular program, the you have to have had some previous health training for the level that this program is pitched at.
hmm And
So
those
yeah.
details will be on our those details about
Oh,
the qualifications necessary to come into this program. But Pam is absolutely right. You will have to have a degree in the sciences, or in
mhm.
the health, in the general sciences, the health sciences, management, and there are a couple of other areas that you can retool or yes, alter your pathway and get directly into this program. But if you take a look at our website, it does give the full application requirements, matriculation requirements for public health and informatics. Anything else there, Pam?
Place the link to our website in the chat. I'm going to place that in the chat now so that you can, and the particular link where you can go and see. But this is the only program where you have to have had prior knowledge. The other programs, you can just slate right in.
And our sustainability and data analytics. So the first two, all about the data and moving the data, using data to ensure that you can make effective and long-lasting decisions, not on gut feel, but on what the evidence is. So evidence-based decision making, that is the core for our analytics suite. And this one, sustainability and data analytics, again, this is one that has captured the imagination. So the aim here is to master data science with a lens of sustainability. What are you going? This is a practical program. I've seen the material, and yes, we always get, is there going to be coding? Yes, there's going to be coding. There is going to be an understanding of the elements, the raw materials that you use to build your models in on which to interrogate the data and generate the information. A lot of it, yes, is going to be fed by some AI tools, but you are always going to be the master. You're always going to be the chauffeur. You're always going to be in charge of driving those tools, no matter what those tools are. So here you're going to be talking, and you're going to be exposed to Python programming and machine learning for the SDGs. Again, the lens with which you're going to be going through all of our programming is through the lens of sustainability and the SDGs. Very important for organizations, particularly those who are in the NGO, CSO space, as well as organizations who are publicly listed. Consumers make decisions now not based on just the quality of the consumables or the products and services that they're getting, but they want to see that the organizations and the institutions and the companies that they are putting their disposable incomes through or buying those products and services from care, and not only care about their bottom line, but care about their legacy and care about the future. So ESG reporting and impact measurement is going to be part of the program. This has become really important to organizations around the globe. Data visualization and dashboard building. Again, narrative-based, text-based, numeric-heavy reporting has lived past its usefulness over the last decade, and being able to tell a story through a dashboard, a living dynamic dashboard, which is fed the relevant data, and again, AI enhanced, but you are in the driver's seat for what that dashboard is going to what that dashboard is going to look like for the decision maker, and that is the front end. Your beautiful vehicle, that's going to be the front end. And how do you create dynamic dashboards which might be able to be customized by the user? That's going to be part and parcel of this programming. And of course, econometric analysis for sustainability. So this is where this program can take you as an ESG analyst and a sustainability data manager. We're seeing those now more prevalent in the spaces. You can also work for UN agencies such as UNICEF, UNDP, and those agencies, and the development banks such as the IADB, CDB here in the Caribbean, as they look to ensure, again, legacy building, encouraging legacy building for the institutions and organizations that they fund. Emerging are still the climate tech and carbon platforms, and those companies that specialize in this. And carbon platforms, you can actually be building out your own carbon platforms for sale as you develop agents and apps to deploy in your specific spaces. And those are digital tools for measuring and managing and reducing carbon emissions. And that is really important, especially if you are going to be competing for investor funds. It allows you to do that essential reporting for compliance, depending on the industry that you're in and where you are geographically located, for investor transparency, as I said, and for your own company to decide on your strategic decarbonization initiatives as well. And depending again on where you're geographically located, for companies emerging in specific areas, you have to demonstrate that you are committed to meeting net zero policies. So this is where the carbon platforms come into play. And of course, we're seeing corporate sustainability officers being more and more in demand within the organizations. So what do these tools do? They're going to be able to, what does this program do? Provide you with the tools, with the resources, with the competence and skills to be able to meet the demand and to tell the story of the data that you are going to be, or your organizations are going to be interacting, with which organizations are going to be interacting. And for us, what you can do so that we can tailor or we get a good idea, put in the chat as I go through which programs are grabbing your, which program areas are grabbing your interest, which program areas you may want us to follow up with you to give you more information on. Really important for us, climate studies. And this is where we're going to be leading, building on the two programs that you would have heard before, where we lead climate action and resilience. And what you're going to be exposed to here, climate change science and policy frameworks, adaptation and resilience strategies for small island development states. In particular, of course, that is going to be our core interests. But if you can build it for SIDS, it can be deployed to larger urban areas or urban environments as well. You're going to be taking a look at green finance and carbon markets. And for those who are following sustainability news, this has been outside of COVID, this has been in the news for at least the last decade, and our Prime Minister here in Barbados, Mia Mottley, is a driving force for rethinking financing, particularly for SIDS, that goes against what the norm has been. So green finance and carbon markets still remain extremely relevant and will remain so for the foreseeable future. And of course, climate justice and vulnerable communities. How do we make the change that is going to be necessary? How do we drive the motivation? How do we develop the sensitization campaigns that can drive, if not from top down, the bottom up, that these concerns are what we should be putting at the top of our priority list for both governments and institutions as well. Again, legacy building. You can't build legacy if the persons to whom you are offering products and services are not going to be around to take advantage of what your products and services. So career paths, UNFCCC, which is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is the world's primary international treaty for coordinating global action on climate change. And this is a natural fit for those who are going through our climate studies program. Uh, government climate and energy offices, as well as climate tech companies. And international development NGOs are key areas that are going to be attractive or attracted to graduates from this program. And Pam, I'm seeing some action in the Q&A as well as the chat. Anything for me as yet?
No, I've answered the questions. A couple of them are more personal questions for our guests, or prospective
Excellent. Okay.
students. Yeah, so I've reached out to them. But so far you've had public health and informatics. Kamala's interested in that. And also Chantal is interested in climate studies.
Okay. And just two more. We have said that we're going to go into detail while I speak about broadly about the others. Sustainability, development, and justice. And this is where we're championing equitable development. And here you're going to be exposed to equitable development and social justice frameworks, some of which are overlapping with some of the previous courses as well. Rights-based approaches to policy, inclusive governance and community empowerment, and gender justice and intersectional sustainability. So, really taking a deep dive on those issues. And career paths include UNDP and UN Mini, UNDP and UN Women, both United Nations agencies, social development ministries within your own governmental organizations, human rights organizations, as well as community development NGOs, so grassroots organizations, and developing solutions for the underserved or the marginalized communities within your environment as well. And just to reemphasize, all of our programming available across the three options from the postgrad certificate to the diploma through the master's, eventual master's programs. And you can take it in chunk-sized pieces as well. And finally, for this morning, taking a look at sustainable leadership. And in sustainable leadership, we are looking at the top of the organization, the decision makers of the organization, or those who are seen as the leaders of tomorrow, and ensuring that sustainability, again, is not just a buzzword, but is embedded or threaded through the the essence of the or the culture of the organization? How do you weave sustainability as not an afterthought, but at the forefront of planning and developing strategies, whether it at the operational level, developing strategies, or leading operations, tactical management, or the C-suite in the organization for private organizations. So here is where you're going to be leading transformational change, no matter where you sit. And often we think of leadership at the pinnacle of the organization. Leadership begins where you sit. What impact does that raindrop have in the ocean? What impact do you have? What sphere of influence do you have within the organization? And it doesn't only have to be the organization that through which you may get a paycheck every month, but all the civil organizations that you may be involved in. And these skill sets and competencies that you're going to be exposed to are transferable no matter where you are. So strategic leadership for sustainability transformation is one of the key topics and threads throughout this program. Systems thinking and organizational change management, because change does not happen overnight, nor does it happen easily. So how do you deliberately develop policies to manage change that you foresee would be beneficial to the organization? Stakeholder engagement and collaborative leadership. None of us are in our environments alone as lone wolves, and we are going to be engaging with and creating partnerships. You heard of us and our partnerships here. Every organization has to have negotiation skills as we meet our equals across the table. So how do you manage and engage with how do you identify the relevant stakeholders, and how do you engage with them to have meaningful relationships that will be beneficial to all the parties involved? And leading across sectors for the achievement of the SDGs that are relevant in your industry or in your area. And career paths here, sustainability directors and leaders, change management consultants with a specialization in sustainability or the SDGs, working with NGOs and social enterprises as well, whether you're leading those organizations where you may have a passion project and want to move it now from just a passion project to an actual organization that can have meaningful impact for years to come. And working within governments again as sustainability officers, and that's what we're seeing in the space. So Pam and team, I'm about to move now to what the admissions requirements are for our programming.
Right. Sounds great. We do have one question. I will raise that after you've done this part of it,
Sure.
um, uh, about payment plans once you've got into the fee structure.
Okay,
Okay.
so we have multiple entry pathways because we're going to meet you where you are. The traditional pathway is a bachelor's degree. For all of our programs, except for public health, that can be an honors degree in practically any area. For public health and informatics, there is a specialized. We are going to inspect that closer to determine that the areas that you have that undergraduate degree in is relevant or gives you the background needed to be successful in public health and informatics. And if you have a degree, but it's not an honors degree, where your GPA was not above 2.5 or above, then we want you to have work experience. So if you graduated GPA between 2 and 2.49, we want you to have some work experience, particularly in the area, preferably at the post after your degree, but it doesn't have to be as long as it's in a relevant area. Some of you may have opted instead of going for the undergraduate degree, there are technical and professional qualifications in your area, and that can be equivalent to the undergrad degree or to a bachelor's degree. And we will take a look at your qualifications And that coupled with at least 2 years work experience should also allow you to be in a good place to be considered for entry. And those are the traditional pathways. Notice my pause here. Now, earlier you may have heard me say your experience counts, your experience matters. We value your experience. There are some of you that may have taken an alternate pathway to your career and gone into the world of work first before having the opportunity or being in a place to pursue your academic qualifications, and you are now in a place that you can do that. You may have risen through the ranks in your organization, but you don't have an undergraduate degree. Again, we value those years of experience. So if you have 5 years or more of management experience, you have worked your way through your organization, you are now in management in your organization or at a senior level within your organization, or you've moved up the ranks in your organization, and in order to move further, you really want to retool, reskill, and to get the knowledge base that you have been lacking thus far. We want you to come into our programs. We have a pathway for you. That's why we call it a qualifying pathway. And if you've not had the rigors of academic study before, we give you the opportunity through a qualifying course. It is a full postgraduate course. We call it is the course for us is Foundations for Sustainability, where you'll be exposed to the elements and the intricacies of the Sustainable Development Goals. And then you're going to be applying that to different areas. The projects and so on that you're going to be working on, the assessment are going to be rigorous to ensure that you can manage the load. Once you successfully get through the qualifying course, then you are given an offer. You can be given an offer to the postgraduate certificate in the area of your choice. So we don't want to, and spread the word. You don't have to have an undergraduate degree if you have relevant years of experience that you can bring to the table. And that really, like I said, your experience matters. We value that experience. Additional requirements, English is the language in which we're going to deliver all of our content. And if English is not your first language, you do have to demonstrate that you are proficient in English. And you show us that by having the IELTS 6.5 score of 6.5 or equivalent. There are other testing agencies that you can go through. We want two professional or academic references. And you're really important. It's really important for all of you, but especially for those who don't have an honors degree, we want to have a holistic look at you. We want to see who you are as a full person and how we can partner with you to get to the next step as you leap into your career development and your future. So, Pam, you wanted to ask a question before I moved on?
So not actually a question. So for your next slide, what is your next slide? Is it about the tuition fees?
That's in 2 slides. So that was how to apply.
Okay.
You want me to go to the
Yeah.
tuition fees?
Okay, let's go here. Let's go here because we have a couple of questions about this. So there are 6 steps that you have to go through here. So Sonia, go through them quickly because we just have a few more minutes with our guest today.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're at the end. So how to apply? You visit our website, you're going to see the application link there. Once you go through the application, you fill out the application, there is a non-refundable $15 fee for application fee, which is very competitive on the market. And we have partnered so that it doesn't matter where in the world you are, you're going to go through our third-party partner to verify your identity. That's with qualification check. If you are a graduate of the UWI, that is as far as you need to go. If you are not a graduate of the UWI, then you are going to validate your certifications through qualifications check as well and work through with them, uploading your transcripts. And for everybody, you can upload your CV as well. If you
Yes.
are coming through without an undergraduate degree, you may need to come through to do an online interview with us to
Hmm.
determine your suitability to the programming. And once you submit all the documents, You should have a decision within 3 or 4 weeks. But all the documents, all the feedback and so on, the results from qualification check, all of that has to be in, and you should be able to get a definitive answer from us within that 3 to 4 weeks,
Okay, so right
is
at
what
that
we wanted.
point, with the verification of your identification, we've had a couple of persons who indicated they had some challenges there. So if you've gone through that process and you've had a challenge, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and I'm also going to share with you our Dwayne Kildare, who is our CIO, and we will walk you through the process. What happens? This qualification checks, if you're having a challenge, they will communicate with you via email because they do have a help feature on the platform. So if you have not received an email and you've had challenges, just reach out to me and I'll put in my email in the chat and Dwayne and I will be more than happy to walk you through this process. It's a very simple process. You have to upload a photo of yourself in a real time photo of yourself, and then upload a copy of your passport photo or your government, your passport photo, government issued identification. And sometimes because of lighting, there might be a slight issue. They can't verify it. So they will tell you, please upload again, but they'll send you an email. So if you've had a challenge, just drop me an email. And I'm also going to place Dwayne Kildare's as well. Just drop us an email. Also ISDJ, which is where we get all of our communication from our students, that we'll walk with you through this process. And there is a fee attached to this process of identifying your identification and qualifications. The beauty of it is it's a one-time payment that you'll have for the rest of your life. So any other time that you have to verify your identification, you have an e-wallet that you can always send to the individual. And anytime you have to verify your qualifications, you have your e-wallet that's yours forever that you can then just forward that on and you don't have to go through this process again. So yes, so those are the two questions that we had relative to this. And Sonia, there's a question here. Well, I'm a one of our students, one of our prospects have asked, I'm assuming some of the courses within the public health informatics may, to some extent, capture some contents in the health research and epidemiology postgraduate diploma at UE. Mona?
I am not familiar with the courses there, but what you can do is take a look at our
I'll put
handbook,
that in. Yeah,
ISDJ.
put that in.
The ISDJ handbook, which details the courses that are available. Now, remember, the
Mhm.
courses are redeveloped here for with the lens of sustainability. So I'm anticipating what may be the next question, and but you can do a comparison by taking a look at the courses. There is a brief description of the course content at the end of the handbook. So take a look at our handbook, and that may allow you to see what equivalent or overlap there may be. And if you want to, then you can also drop me an email if you want to sit and have a discussion about that. I'm willing to, yeah, I'll sit and have a discussion with you if you want more information about that. But I'm not familiar with the one at
Mhm.
Mona, the details of the one at Mona.
Okay, cool. So your two questions. Do you have an exemption system? For example, someone who has pursued a postgraduate diploma in health research and epidemiology, how does this work with the public health and informatics program? I guess that kind of gives you an in to the program because you would have had training in the area.
You may be able to matriculate, but I would have to take a look at the individual courses. We generally have an equivalency policy at the UE. So
Mm-hmm.
it would mean having the course outline, sending this to the program coordinator for their review, what the assessments were and so on, and then a decision can be made for exemptions.
Yes,
Depending on the program, at the master's level, you can have no more than 9 credits of exemption. That's going to be exemption, but you would still have to take
nine
courses,
credits to
nine
make it the
credits.
nine
So,
credits. Yeah. Okay. That's really good because if you've had exemptions of three courses, then you can get some really good training, some good information in another area that kind of complements what you're doing. You can get a
mhm.
chance to do that. Yeah.
Right. And that doesn't change the fees. So even if you do get an exemption, it doesn't change the fees that are required for the program.
You're speaking on the fees now, and then I'll ask the next question, or I'll make the next statement.
Right. So the fees are on screen. I think that's what you're seeing on your screen. For direct entry to any of our programs, 10,000 US for the master's. For the diploma is 7,500, and for the certificate is 3,500 US. So if you see the certificate and you want to, in that same area, update your certificate to the diploma, then you pay $4,500 more and so on. That's what you're seeing here on the screen for your pathways. If you
And
want to apply for upgrade for to the master's with the certificate, then it'll be $9,000, the difference. And if you have the diploma and you want to upgrade to the master's, it's $4,500. So again, meeting you where you are, making sure that you have opportunities for bite-sized chunks rather than the whole commitment. If you didn't want to start at the master's but wanted to start at the certificate and ladder up, that is possible as well. And Pam, I'm going to ask you to talk about the payment plan. I'm not sure if anybody had asked about that. I
yes, we
suspect.
did. We had a question about the payment plan. So the payment plan works like this. Um, if you are in the full time, you have, well, for everybody, you pay 50% of the fees upfront at registration. And then you have a period of time, every 30 or 60 days, you will make a payment towards the other 50% that you owe. So you just need to start with 50%, and then you have a period of months to complete the other payments in your program, whether you're full-time or part-time. You would have a longer time if you're part-time, of course, because instead of 5 months, you're doing it over a 9-month period. But there is that. Someone asked about partial scholarships, partial or full scholarship. At this time, you do not offer scholarships. However, we are actively seeking support and funding that we can offer scholarships to our students, because in the global south where this training is most needed is where folks would have the most challenge in terms of finding the tuition costs. So we are actively seeking to have funding opportunities for our students. We have written to the World Bank and several other institutions to ask them to create grants and scholarships for students in our programs. So we'll keep you updated and abreast of that information as it comes to hand. It'll be on our website and we'll share with all of our student population. Someone is asking, I'm based in Nigeria and I want to know if you do long distance online PhD courses in development and sustainability. At this time, you do not offer PhD courses. Our highest level is our master's, our MSCs. But we're
Right.
going to work. But thank you for that question. It says that there's a need and we can always work towards that in the future. But right now, our highest level is our MSCs. Thank you,
And what I
Kine.
do is route that query to one of our landed campuses, and that
Hmm.
expertise may be in Trinidad across the campuses. So what you can do is take a look at the programming if you go on to uwi.edu, it gives you access to all of the campuses and see if that specialization would be at St. Augustine or Mona. We
Hmm.
do have a PhD program in our Center for Biosecurity at the K-Phil campus, and that might be of interest to you as well. So for the doctoral program, you can take a look at one of our sister campuses, the K-Phil campus in the Center for Biosecurity. That one I know for sure, as well as at St. Augustine or at Mona. So while we don't have that specialization at the moment within the ISDJ, the specialization would be at one of our sister campuses.
Yes. Does that answer your question, Kine? Or Kenny? I'm not sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Please put it in the chat if we have done so. Um, so we just have Son, is that the end of your presentation? We just have a couple of more minutes and we want to open the floor for questions.
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
The first application deadline is July 10th, and that
Mm-hmm.
gets us processed for you to be processed in time for our sessions beginning August
In
6th.
August. Okay.
I can't promise that date let's work towards that date, July 10th. We may have an extension here or there, but let's work towards that date. And you see and you see the link for applications there, and Pam would have put that in the chat as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, Pam. The last one is about getting hold of us. If you have questions, drop us a line at admissions.isdj@ue.edu, and you can visit our website. The QR code is there. Let's continue discussion. Let's leap into your future with us partnering with you and cheering you on all the way. We're really excited that our first cohort is about to begin. And we want you to join this train. We want you to join us here at the ISDJ. So over to you, Pam.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for your wonderful, your Sonia is our guru when it comes to the curriculum at the ISDJ, and we want to thank you for taking us through that presentation today. I'll just put a link in the chat for you. Please click on the link. It's a pre-screening tool. It's a tool that we have developed for you if you're interested in our programming, that we can get to know you and see if you're a right fit ahead of your application to ISDJ. So please click on the link. I just placed it in the chat. Do the pre-screening tool and let us get to know you. We will communicate with you as to the outcome of your pre-screening, and then you follow on with your application to ISDJ. So click on the link. I'll send it out to you as well when we reach out to you with the recording of the session. We'll send the link as well if you missed it, but I'll place it in the chat if you can click on it. Just a couple of things. As Sonia said, our application portal is now open. Please utilize this opportunity now to apply to the school. The process is quite simple. And if you have any challenges, you can reach out to admissions, placing it in the chat as well. admissions.isdj.uwi.edu. That is the email address that you can reach out to us with any questions that you may have, or ISDJ, UWI. There's several ways in which you can reach us, and we will respond to you as soon as we get your communication. So thank you once again. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Dwayne. Are there any questions that you may have that we have not answered? You can please feel free to, you can unmic, or you can place them in the chat, raise your hand, and we can have them answered online. Upon completion, does the student have the option of graduating across any UWI campus? Yes. I think because we sit within the global campus. We are a business school that sits in the global campus. The global campus has several landed campuses, but you can also request to graduate at any of our other institutions, which would be the K-Phil,
Mhm.
Mona, or
Five
St.
Islands
Augustine,
or St.
Five
Augustine. So
Islands.
definitely, yes, you
Yes,
can
you can
choose to
request
graduate,
to cross the stage at any of those campuses.
but you can
We
only do
offer
it
one
once. So
UWI.
you can't hop from ceremony to ceremony. You can indicate, and we will therefore transfer the information to the site that you are wanting to graduate
Exactly.
through.
So yes. So in other words, I think what Sonia is saying, if you do the certificate and you can, so you're on this journey, you can step off the exit at the certificate, or you can step off the exit at the diploma, or you can step off the exit at the master's. So you start, I like the imagery that Sonia would have used. It's a highway has 3 lanes and 3 exits. So you can continue with us all the way through to the last exit, or you can stop at the first exit, which is the certificate. You can come back come back. You can say, okay, I don't want to finish right now. I want to come back. And I think it's 5 years, Sonia.
Yes, within that 5-year period, the
Within that
credits will
5 year
still count.
period, the credits will still count, and I'll complete my diploma. It's just 3 more courses. So why wait 5 years? And then it's just another 4 courses for your master's program, your master's certification. So we've made it extremely, I will say easy, but we've
Flexible.
made
The
it
word is flexible.
flexible. It's a word, flexible for you, and it's affordable. Your certificate is 3,500 US. 50% of that is 1,750 US. $1,750 gets you started, and then you have two other payments to make within the 5 month period, the 4 month period. So it's 8 weeks. Or one thing that we need to share with you is very important. Our courses are 8 weeks long. 8 weeks. 8 weeks, one break, and then another 8 weeks. So you do 8 weeks, two courses, 1 week break, and 8 weeks, two courses, and you have your postgraduate certificate. How easy is that? 3,500 US dollars and you're good to go. And you can market that because the UWI is an accredited university across the globe. You can market that to elevate your career status. So is it possible? Yes. By December, you have been able to now move your career forward by at least one good leap. Maybe two, depends on where you are. So reach out to us. We are available to answer any questions or queries you may have. We have 5 programs available now. By June 15th, we will have another 6. And there's one that's coming that's going to be really great. It's, Sonia, can I say it's a mix and match? Where you can
Yes, our
take
degree.
pieces
Yes.
or degree or master's
We will
is
have a session just for that, Pam.
yes for that one.
We're over
Yes.
time at the
We
moment.
Yes, so there's so much more we can share with you. We have another session tomorrow. If there are any questions that you think about, you've gone on the website and you need to ask, you can join us again tomorrow morning and we will be willing to answer any questions. So looking forward to talking with you. Thank you for taking the time today and have a wonderful rest of your evening. All the best to you. Thanks again, Sonia and Dwayne.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.